Blessings and welcome to Eartheart Radio. Finally beginning to awaken from the illusion of separateness and broadcasting live from the KSKQ studios in beautiful Ashland, Oregon. Here's your host, Derek Moody.
And they should say you're a happy host, because every Sunday, extremely happy to be here. I mean, who wouldn't be happy hanging out with some of your best friends and all you great listeners and all these mountains right in front of my vision? There's nothing to be unhappy about. As my good friend Pat says, skies are blue today here at the Eartheart Radio Show, and I'm glad you're here, my friends. Today we're going to listen to harmonious music. You'll hear positive news stories. We're going to spotlight yet another saint, but today it's not really a saint. It's more an Egyptian god. Just something interesting to delve into. And always remember, the subject matter that I pick isn't always something I might believe in, quote unquote, or identify with. I just sometimes find things interesting and would like to present something a little different and thinking outside of the box, so to speak. Today we are going to speak with somebody that does think outside of the box. I'm quite sure he is the gentleman that is the person responsible for the Rogue Valley Metaphysical Library, or one of the people responsible, I should say. He's the director of the Metaphysical Library in the Rogue Valley. He's on the phone right now. Jordan Pease, thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me to be on your show.
Oh, my connection doesn't seem to be working. Let me try that again. Can you say something else real quick?
Glad to be on your show, Derek. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I think it's actually working okay. So how are you doing today?
Oh, very well. Like you said, a beautiful blue sky day here in Ashland, Oregon.
Nice. Yeah, how long has the Metaphysical Library been there? That's the first thing I want to know. I was thinking, have you guys been there for decades or just months? Let the audience know, perhaps.
Well, let's see. We started in a 400-square-foot janitor's closet in 2002 down on A Street across from the hardware store.
Wow.
We're going on 20 years now.
Wow, a couple of decades. Were you located?
We've been in a few different locations since, but we're here now on Ashland Street. We've been here since February 2018. We opened at our current location, which is 1757 Ashland Street. Boy,
it's been that long already. Jeez.
Yep.
Were you guys previously located down in Shasta, or is that not the case?
I'm aware of another metaphysical-ish library that existed in Shasta for a couple of years. I can't recall the name of it, but no, we have no direct affiliation with that organization.
Okay, that was something I was wondering that I'd been wanting to know. It's very interesting because I do love the library. It's an awesome place to go. If you haven't been there and you're in Southern Oregon, the Metaphysical Library is very unique. Of course, you know the history of how long it's been there, but what made you actually open the library? What was the inspiration?
Yeah, thanks. Well, try to keep that story concise. Well, the question is, what inspired me to start the Metaphysical Library? So I'm the founder and executive director of Rogue Valley Metaphysical Library. There's a lot of different ways to answer that question, Derek. I guess I'll say for now, I just started to realize, actually in the 80s, late 80s, when I had a roommate who was claiming incredible UFO experiences, how much interesting information never makes it to the mainstream mindset. And so I just kind of stumbled down some rabbit holes in the late 80s, early 90s, and started developing a library of my own. I moved to Ashland in 2001, got involved in something called the Disclosure Project, which some people might be aware of.
Oh, yeah.
2001, 2002, I worked for Stephen Greer and Disclosure Project. Extraordinary time of my life.
Wow.
18 months fatigued with excitement. I characterize those 18 months traveling and meeting the witnesses. And that's what really took me over the fence, I'll say, of is there a reality to a cover-up of UFO stuff? Awkward way to say it. So in some ways, my epiphanies, I guess I could say, around UFO cover-up led to the founding of the Metaphysical Library. It's so much more than that, though. In the early days of Metaphysical Library in Ashland, which were really fun and exciting times for me, too, having just moved here and then all of a sudden finding so much support in the community here, my new community, around those kinds of issues. It's so much more than that, though. But trying to answer your question, what inspired me to start it, it was basically like, wow, look at all this interesting stuff, and oh my God, these are incredibly important, questions for humanity, and how come so few people are able to approach them, and what's all this social stigma that exists around these kinds of questions. And so really initially just wanting to share my own, at the time, smaller resource, a couple thousand books of my own that I just made available to the community. So I'm not sure that's quite the answer to the question you're asking, but that's how I can answer it concisely.
That's a great answer, and you've opened up some big doors for me. Me and my wife are very into the Stephen Greer. Stephen Greer is awesome, by the way. We're very in tune with what he's doing. My wife is in direct contact with some people that are very high up in the disclosure groups, and they've been asking her to be even higher up. So I'll talk with you more about that off the air. But that's extremely interesting that you just happened to bring that up when we were talking about that all night last night. Very, very strange timing. There's a lot of things happening with our own people trying to present a subtle agenda that extraterrestrials, for lack of a better word, or people from other life forms. There seems like they're trying to slowly present an agenda through movies, through media, to make shape our consciousness as if these beings are bad or evil, but it's quite the opposite from what I'm hearing, that in fact they're peaceful and we shouldn't be afraid or be on guard kind of thing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, like I just mentioned, there's some incredibly important questions facing everybody. This is something that, there's so much divisiveness in our society these days, especially these days.
Yeah.
And so the kinds of things that can unite us is something I'm very interested in learning more myself and feeling connection to more people and try to reverse the trend of divisiveness. So, the question of are extraterrestrials engaging with humanity is an enormous question that I don't think gets nearly enough attention. So, back to your first question, what inspires me to do the work here? So much of it is just around just that issue. We have the largest UFO collection that you're going to find anywhere. A couple of years ago discovered a guy in Sweden who's got an incredible archive like ours. He runs circles around us in terms of volume, but in terms of things available to people in the United States, there's very few resources like the one we present, and probably the largest section by subject is the UFO material, especially all the conference DVDs that we have. There's really nowhere in the world that has as many DVDs on UFO subjects in conference lecture format. So we're very proud to be able to offer that here. But then the books, of course, and DVDs and other subjects as well. I mean, I know that the DVD format is certainly on its way out, but a lot of the material that we have here you're not going to find on, YouTube or Amazon Prime or anything like that. So we try to keep our shelf space available for really, by comparison, rare titles that aren't really available elsewhere.
Yeah, I just want to say that's great that you're on the show today, because part of the entire premise of this show is awakening from the illusion of separateness. So I think you're a perfect guest. What are some of the most popular items at the library, can I ask?
Well, it runs the gamut. I mean, I'd like to say in the Facebook marketing that we do, there really is something for everybody here. And like I was starting to say earlier, we kind of originally pegged ourselves, maybe inappropriately in our first few years of operating, as, the UFO library, because at the time, like I sort of explained, that's the original inspiration for me to start going down other rabbit holes that are related. So popular subjects here. Well, that's kind of hard to say. It really is very subjective to what people are interested in seeing. Let me make sure I take the opportunity to explain a little bit more about what the library is.
Sure.
and the kind of services we offer, partly to answer your question. So, the idea of something for everybody here. So I think it was 2005, we took over this operation called Media Exchange. I get a compliment all the time that we invented the idea of Media Exchange. I cannot take the credit for that. We just took over a turnkey operation from a man that was living here in Ashland at the time that had to leave the community, so he made the opportunity available to us. Approximately 2005, we took over this thing called Media Exchange, and so that really opened up our services to a much broader audience. So it went from just a lending library, $30 a year, unlimited checkouts of all the materials in the lending library, meaning it's very affordable for people to take advantage of that. It's really an administrative cost is how we characterize that. We're nonprofit, of course, so donations, is what keeps the doors open here. But Media Exchange is, and it's amazing to me after all this time doing this here in Ashland that, our small community, 20,000 people, continues to have truckloads of books to bring us. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. It really is an enormous volume of material that gets donated here. So only some of that material is appropriate for lending collection by condition, by, edition, physical packaging, etc. and then, of course, what kinds of subjects that we put into the metaphysical library, the lending library. Everything else, cookbooks, travel books, craft books, children's books, fiction books, the whole gamut, goes into our media exchange. And the way that works is don't need a membership. Anybody that wants to come browse that collection, the media exchange collection, is welcome to take things on the honor system, bring things back when they can or not. We don't need to keep track of it because the volumes of donations is so great. So when I say, something for everybody here, that's mostly what I'm referring to is if you could care less about UFOs and Sasquatch and crop circles and anything paranormal or metaphysical spiritual, there's tons of cookbooks for you. So it's really fun to see people come in. I'm still trying to answer your question what the popular subjects are here. I can't really do it, though. People come in, could care less about the lending collection. All they care about is the media exchange. Great. We're still providing a service, literacy, education, especially with children's books and things like that. I just love seeing parents come here with their kids and spread out on the floor and leave with a bunch of cool, kids' books to take home and read with their families.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say something for everybody here. DVDs, books, audiobooks on all subjects are available here.
That's so great, man. I didn't realize you were a nonprofit. That's really cool to find out.
That's the only way it would work. I mean, otherwise the membership fees would be so high it would be prohibitive.
Yeah. Can I ask, and this might be another mouthful for you, but just in a nutshell, do you have any personal spiritual beliefs yourself?
Sure. I mean, how could I not?
Right.
I do.
Well, I guess with being surrounded with so many different types of vibes and different, philosophies and things like this, I just wonder what you sort of lean towards.
Well, I try to stay, and I encourage, this opens up a whole other area of how we present our services, and I don't mean to dodge your question, but let me approach it
That's all good.
A little upside down, because I can certainly answer the question, but let me say it this way. So different than other kinds of, quote, metaphysical libraries that exist, more like metaphysical bookstores that are easily identified by, incense and tie-dye and Buddha statues and crystals and the like. We very purposely don't present ourselves that way at all. Very purposely, very disciplinedly, I might even say.
Interesting.
So it's the idea that there's no agenda here other than, hey, you guys, general public, look at all this interesting stuff. Help us figure it out. Like, there's no agenda here that we have a particular philosophy or, religious bent or anything like that, spiritual bent.
That's smart. Yeah, very smart.
Yeah. So let people figure it out for themselves. In terms of like spirituality, very purposely, we seek out the kinds of things that don't get donated. So we have a comprehensive collection of at least what would you say, seminal tenet books, materials on any kind of Eastern, Western, Buddhist. Runs the gamut on purpose. I mean, Quran is here, of course, and I can't quite make the list off the top of my head, but just about certainly the Bible and all that kind of stuff.
Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita, of course, and all things like that. Without any particular depth, here's something else that connects with that too. Of course, we're limited shelf space. We don't have infinite abilities to shelve everything. So certain things when it comes to, like, I'm going to use the word mainstream conventional religious topics, we have basic kinds of study materials on that, but leave it to the other libraries that exist in the area to, fill out the study materials. See what I'm saying? So we're going to limit our shelf space a little bit in those realms because we know that, just down the street, exists other libraries, for example. The Havra, for example, down on Mountain has a great library that we share things with. They've been very generous sharing things back with us, too. It's fun to, find partners in the area and share resources.
Rabbi David's a great guy.
Great guy. What a generous man he's been to us, both offering his sanctuary for us to do events in over the years, but when it comes to their annual book sale, we get to, have first dibs and get to take all the leftovers, too. They've been really generous to us that way.
Great temple over there. I love it.
Yep. So I got a little bit off track. You were asking, my personal beliefs on that. Well, that's why I kind of said we don't have a particular agenda here. For me, that means don't hang my hat too firmly on any particular belief system. So I try to stay very disciplined and, always be seeking. So I like the idea that there's, endless mystery.
I love that.
Don't hand me the keys to the kingdom. I don't want to know the ultimate truth. I want to stay in the mystery and always be a seeker. I mean, it almost sounds strange to say, but that's how I've approached it.
Wow. I've never heard anyone put it quite like that, and I think I really like that. That's pretty cool.
I just feel like if all the mysteries were solved, life would get pretty boring, you know what I mean? So I kind of like the idea that we're never going to know definitively some of these burning questions that all people tend to have.
So I take it you probably take nuggets of wisdom from each and every little belief system, and you kind of just sift through and just do what's logical and what you feel is correct then.
I do, and that's where I'm at now, this idea that it's a never-ending journey. Like, I know there's pitfalls to doing that, and I've read, good, cogent, sober analysis that maybe in the final analysis that's not necessarily the best approach, if you're understanding what I'm meaning.
I do.
So I kind of feel that it's someday, I'm 53 now, I'm 52, I'll be 53 in a couple weeks, Aquarius, January 27th is my birthday. That I probably will eventually, kind of settle into a particular one. And the ones that religious philosophy, spiritual philosophies that I seem attracted to aren't the ones I grew up with at all. I was
Same here, yeah.
So I'm just glad that I was able to, at a fairly young age, early 20s, start to realize, what's Taoism about? Tao Te Ching, when I discovered that was such a mind bender, mind changer, life changer for me, just the simplicity of it and how it's all based on nature.
Boy, that is such just a profound book. It's so amazing. It is a life changer.
I'm glad I was exposed to that early.
Well, and the Bhagavad Gita, for me, did the same thing. It was just completely mind-blowing,
And, as you can imagine, in a community like Ashland, there's plenty of people that fall into our category of seeker.
Oh, yes.
Which is almost a cliche. I use that term a little bit hesitantly because I know what a cliche, being a seeker is.
Well,
spiritual seeker, but it's apt.
And a lot of folks, can make their little, sometimes offhanded jokes or jaded remarks about the spiritual town of Ashland. But the bottom line is, there really is a lot of high-frequency folks here, and I'm real grateful for that.
Me too.
Yeah, I really am. There's some great love here and everywhere. But Ashland just has a particular group of, of truth-seeking souls, I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. Has the COVID-19 pandemic altered, decreased, or increased your membership, Jordan?
Yeah, well, that's a very germane question for these times, isn't it? Well, it's, like for everybody, it's hard. I almost said the word double-edged. The term silver linings is becoming a frequently used cliche these days. So, yeah, of course, it's been hard for us. We're thankful for the federal government chipping in the PPP money, so that really helped pay the salaries of our employees during the time that we had to be closed. When I say it's double-edged and silver linings, during the time that we were physically closed for about 6 weeks, what was it, March 19th through May 15th, I think were our dates, if I recall right, that we were actually closed to the public. But because of the PPP monies, I was able to continue paying the employees. So we got all kinds of stuff done during those times, all the, backroom languishing projects that we never could seem to get attention toward. So in some ways, it was a welcome opportunity to shut the doors and leave the public out and let us focus for an extended period to reorganize our lending collection and reshelve a bunch of stuff and catalog things like crazy, which we did. I think we cataloged 1,000 books just during those 6 weeks and another 200 audiobooks. That in itself, the repackaging of the audio book materials was a lot of work, and I do that myself. It's like some people knit.
Well, that's awesome.
I repackage DVDs.
Well, thank you. Speaking of money, I just want to take the moment to thank you officially for being a past underwriter here at KSKQ. You've definitely done your share of supporting your community radio station, and I just wanted to say thanks on behalf of the station.
Oh, you're welcome. When I was in high school, I had a little bit of experience with community radio, which I really enjoyed that time. KSKQ, I don't know if you know this history, started in our building when we were down on A Street. The first KSKQ office we basically shared in the upstairs level of that building. A Street Arts Building, it's called, if people know it, right across from the hardware store there.
I did not.
I watched KSKQ right from the very beginning.
Well, I know some of the roots with some of the people, but didn't know that fact. And I've only been in the Valley about 10 years, a transplant from the state of Illinois about a decade ago. But I sure do appreciate the library. I appreciate everything you offer. A couple other questions. What is the cost to join? If somebody's interested in, say, coming down and being a member, what does that entail?
We make it super easy for people. It's $30 a year for 2 people on one membership, 4 items at a time, but as many things as you can cycle through. Like a little different than a video store that a lot of people are still familiar with how video store memberships worked. It's not like there's a per item charge. And I say unlimited, that doesn't mean you can take out 1,000 things at a time, of course. So we limit it to 4 things at a time, but you can turn that over as much as you can bring it back. So $30 a year, 2 people. 4 things at a time. Same borrowing privileges for students at $20 a year. Then we have something called the family plan, which doubles the regular adult membership, $55, 4 people, 8 items at a time.
That's a really good deal. You cannot beat $30 for a whole year for 2 people. Man, that's a great deal.
Yeah, thanks. Well, we keep it affordable on purpose.
Yeah. How do folks find you? Are you online as well?
Oh, of course. That's RVML.org, Rogue Valley Metaphysical Library, acronym RVML.org. The application for borrowing privileges exists there if people want to take a look at it, but it's all very straightforward. Sometimes people print it out and sign it before they even come in, but we certainly have a clipboard here with the membership application. Also on the website, so the whole other thing that RVML has done over the years, I want to talk just for a minute about the other services that we offer. So I already talked about the media exchange and how that works. Lending library is pretty straightforward. I think there's about 20,000 cataloged items on the shelves here, books, DVDs, audiobooks, about 20,000.
Wow.
There's a lot more that we call in our vault collection. Some of that stuff is cataloged, but it's not immediately searchable. And the reason we segregate it is partly for just shelf space reasons here in our facility here. Also, it's super rare, super esoteric, super valuable. And so just the idea that we have an obligation to, protect the collection since so much of it's donated, those kinds of things aren't actually here on the shelves, but if people are looking for something very specific, we can help them find those things. But the whole other services that we've done for years, starting on A Street in 2002, events, lectures. So that's one of you asked about how we're affected by the COVID lockdown. So we had all kinds of fun events planned that we had to postpone and cancel. Unfortunately, that was super hard to do. So beginning in 2002, it's called the Tuesday Lecture Series. So right about then, we started, organizing lecture events at the facility there on A Street. We've continued that, not quite as, frequently in the other locations that we've been, mostly for lack of a venue to do it in. When we were on A Street, we shared the space with an art gallery, so, art gallery by day, lecture space by night, basically. All those have been recorded, almost all of them, and the majority of those recordings are currently on our YouTube channel, so I encourage people to go take a look at that. It's all free. In fact, we're not even doing the monetized thing, so they're all commercial-free and free to watch. Most of them are 90-minute, 2-hour lectures. A lot of local people going back to 2002, so it's fun to see our friends, back then. So there's several hundred lectures there that are available that can't find anywhere else, and it's all free and commercial free. Then in 2015, as an extension of our event production work, an extension of the mission of the library, we started this thing called Architects of the New Paradigm Conference Series, Architects of the New Paradigm Conference. So those are a ton of work. Something of a day job for me, I almost say, is I've had the privilege of working for a lot of the larger conferences that are produced around the country in AV production capacity. So one of the perks of that is I get to come home with all the DVDs that we record at the conferences, which explains why our conference collection is as big as it is. So we started doing our own in 2015, and I just joke with myself and staff, how hard can it be? We just rent a room and invite some speakers and send some emails. How hard can that be? Man, I've learned to the contrary, how much work it takes. And it's not even the event itself, Derek. It's the promotion of it. It's like 20% work to organize the event, invite the speakers, and book the room, and arrange the meals and the transportation and all that, which is enough work on its own. The other 80% is please come to our conference, the marketing of it, which is kind of bizarre because we, are able to bring top-level speakers. Anybody that takes a look at our event calendar or our YouTube channel will see the kinds of people that we've had the privilege of giving a podium to. We've actually produced 9 of them, but we've only actually executed 6 of them. So we've had 6 large 2-day conferences starting in 2015. Only 2 of them have been here in Ashland. The other ones we took to larger communities just so we could get a larger audience potential.
Yeah. Do you get a large turnout at those events?
Our best one, which was the second one in 2016 in San Rafael, California, was, I like to say, the hotel on our behalf violated fire code and packed that room, 560 people, standing room for 2 days. The energy in that room was through the roof. So gratifying for me and my staff to see such an incredible response to all the work that we put into, all the events, but that one in particular. So the average audience has been, 300 or 400 people, I'd say.
Yeah, we got invited to one of your events by Baba Bhagavan Das was living in town for a while, and he invited us to one of your events, but something came up, and darn it, I had to miss it. But next time.
Well, at least you get to see the recordings for free now.
Yeah, right. I really appreciate all this info.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to share it with your listeners.
Yeah, I had no idea that it was such a vast undertaking with everything you do. Could you give the listeners your address again, so the folks located that are listening in Ashland or of Southern Oregon can find you more easy?
Sure. Thanks again for the opportunity. It's on Ashland Street. The address is 1757. It's 1 mile exactly off of I-5 exit 14, just west coming into Ashland on Ashland Street. We're open 10 to 6 daily. We're closed on Sundays and Mondays. So 10 to 6, Tuesday through Saturday, 1757 Ashland Street. All the information and more, including the YouTube channel, rvml.org.
That's awesome. We are practically neighbors, Jordan. I really appreciate you making the time to be on the Eartheart show today. It's been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit, and I'll definitely have to stop in and check out the store again soon. It's been a minute, I'll admit, but no fault of yours. I'll definitely stop in, and I hope everything continues to go well for the Metaphysical Library. You're listening to KSKQ Radio, friends. It's the Eartheart Radio Show, speaking with Jordan Pease from the Rogue Valley Metaphysical Library. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing, my friend?
Thanks again for what you and KSKQ have been doing for the community over the years. It's been so fun to watch you guys grow. Happy to be a supporter in the small way that I'm able to do that. Real quick, I'll just say the mission of what RVML has been over these years. Our formal mission statement is providing easy access to information that inspires, heals, and connects. So that just, in a nutshell, explains the purpose of what we do here. And again, I want to emphasize that we don't say, oh, you got to read this book. We very purposely don't have a recommended reading shelf or anything like that. Don't rob people the opportunity to discover it for themselves, if you understand what I'm saying by that. So much more powerful for people to have life-changing epiphanies that they stumbled across on their own. So we just really make opportunity for that here for people.
Well, I love that you give people a chance to discover something new. And also, I like your approach. Nothing wrong with the tie-dye and the candles and the Buddha statues. But right. I think sometimes some folks get scared off with any kind of dogma or ritualistic things like that. I think you're presenting it as just a clean slate. And some of the folks that might be turned off by, say, Hinduism might walk in just because it's not like that environment. So that's good for you. The people we're trying to reach are the people that are otherwise nervous to come here. So that's why there's no trappings of that kind of stuff. It's very staid is the word I use, very plainly presented, without any, fanfare at all. It's the focus is on the materials and nothing else. Yeah, and I try, when I host my music show in the evenings, I try very hard not to ever talk about politics one way or the other, because the music lover doesn't want to hear that, and then I lose audience members if I start leaning one way or the other. You know how it is. Pretty apolitical around here. We have, things on the shelves that speak to challenges of modern politics, but that's not our focus. And to whatever degree it's here, it's because it augments the other subjects. So yeah. Well, blessings to you, my friend. Thank you for making the time for me. I'm certainly gratitude filled, and you have a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you again, Derek. It's been fun. Of course. Jordan Pease from the Rogue Valley Metaphysical Library. Have a good day. Thanks again. Thank you, Derek. Bye. Yeah, that was fun, man. I like learning new things and meeting new people in my community. And Ashland, Oregon is a beautiful, vibrant community. Of course, the whole world and the whole country here in the USA are feeling the ramifications from the pandemic and the COVID. But you know what? I've realized one thing. Life is life, but life is also created by our thoughts and our beliefs and our expectations and our own wisdom. So you can spend all day focusing on politics and you'll become an angry political, person in that energy. Or you can have a healthy way of living life and maybe balance yourself, a little bit of being aware of what's happening in the world without necessarily subscribing to one side or the other. How about just the side of common sense? How about the side of love? My friend Pat says, love conquers all. We'll be in the middle of a conversation and it gets negative, but at the bottom line, we say love conquers all, and that's just the end of the subject. There's nothing else to say, right? Love does conquer all. So focus on the good stuff, the good news, the positive music, your friends, good food. Go hug a tree. Go hug a whale. Maybe not hug a whale, but Go pet one. I don't know. My friends, I'm going to play some music which was donated to the show library by my good friend and my ex-yoga teacher, Hariyom Radhakrishna. Yeah, Hariyom, I love you so much. And he's over in Wisconsin now. They've moved. But him and his lovely wife, Nina Radhakrishna. But Hariyom Radhakrishna is one of my besties. He's a great guy and a very awesome teacher as well. This is an album by a band that I had never heard, and it's very interesting. For those of you that like music, check this out. It's a band called The Cloud Cult. And the song is called Chain Reaction. I've got music on the way from Pat McGlynn and Nobby Clark. We're going to talk about the Egyptian Lord of the Underworld. And I've got positive news coming up for you right here at the Eartheart Radio Show and KSKQ on a lovely Sunday. And we are alive and breathing. Can you say hallelujah? I knew you could.
What you feel makes part of what they'll feel. It's a chain reaction. Put out fear and they'll feel fear. It's a chain reaction. Put out love and they'll feel love. It's a chain reaction. Put your face on mine.
Wow, such profound lyrics. Put your face on mine. That's pretty intense, man. That's a band there called the Cloud Cult. I had never heard that band, and they are incredible. The album is called The Meaning of Eight, and it's a very spiritual album with 18 cuts. And this was from 2007. Thank you to Hariom Radhakrishna for the donation. Love you, brother. You are listening to the Eartheart Radio Show with music by Pat McGlenn, Nobby Clark on the way. The Leela School Leela School is proud to be an underwriter of KSKQ. Support for KSKQ does come from the Leela School for Awakening. Information about Zoom classes leading to certification in advanced clinical hypnosis, starting your own practice, or a no-fee session with Leela School staff is online at leelaschool.org, on Facebook at the Leela School, or by calling 541-201-0900. The Leela School is in service of universal human rights and dignity. I want to take a moment to thank my listeners, those tuned in that I know of. My friend Suzanne Bell in New Mexico, who I call Mom. Hey, Ma, got that package coming out for you Tuesday with love. Jai Ma, Suzanne. Also, Audrey listening in Portland. Love you, dear. Gary, brother Gary Floyd and Tom down in San Francisco. I love you, Gary. And thank you for the great words. He was happy that I said hug a whale. So maybe I'll say hug a shark next time. Also, in San Francisco, my friend Ana Maria Escobar, great talented artist. She's been a guest on Eartheart, and her new music being released soon. And, of course, we'll be happy to play that music right here on Eartheart. You know that much. We support our friends here. Karen Lee, my buddy in Rhode Island. Much love, Karen. Can't wait to talk later. Tufty in England. Love you, Tufty. Also, Jack Grine is tuned in, one of my loyal listeners in Ashland, Oregon. Jack, he's always got a quick wit and a nice text message to send me. Thank you, bro. Oddly Toddly, make sure you stop by the station afterwards. I've got a bag of CDs for you, bro. It's stuff that I've got that was donated that I have doubles of, and I'd rather not sell it. I'd rather give it to someone else because it was given to me. So Oddly Toddly, come on by the station at 3. I've got a bag of music for you, my brother. And Brother Bob is tuned in as well with Sister Red in upstate New York. Sister Red is going to be here on the Eartheart Radio Show next month on the February Valentine show, I believe, doing some reading from her book. That's going to be fantastic. Thank you, my friends, for listening to the Eartheart Radio Show. Should we spotlight a saint, or do we do more music? Let me think.
Saints, angels, avatars, sages, yogis, holy men, medicine women, helpers, elders, revolutionaries, and advocates of love. Today we honor and show love, respect, and gratitude.
Oh, yes, we do. We do show love, gratitude, and respect for the great sages and the ancient devas and all the people that are, the souls that are temporarily residing in human bodies. Today is a little different, however, just off the beaten path. The show started back in August of 2019, and I am starting to run thin on my saints. There's plenty more, trust me, but I don't want to just grab one on thin air. I like to talk about people that are interesting, including the Egyptian lord of the underworld. I'm speaking of Osirus, and the judge of the dead, the brother and husband to Isis, yep, and one of the most important gods of ancient Egypt. Osirus is god of fertility, agriculture, the afterlife, the dead, resurrection, life, and vegetation in ancient Egypt religion. Osirus was classically depicted as a green-skinned deity with a pharaoh's beard, partially mummy-wrapped at the legs, wearing a distinctive Atif crown, and holding a symbolic crook and flail. He was one of the first to be associated with the mummy wrap. When his brother Set cut him up into pieces after killing him. Isis, his wife, found all of the pieces and wrapped his body up, enabling him to return to life. Osirus was at times considered the eldest son of the earth god Geb and the sky goddess Nut, as well as being brother and husband of Isis, with Horus being considered his posthumously begotten son. The first evidence of the worship of Osirus was found in the middle of the 5th dynasty of Egypt, 25th century BC, my friends. Although it's likely he was worshipped much earlier, Osirus, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I'm so horrible at pronunciation, and I say it all the time, so that way your making fun of me is minimalized. Get it? Osirus was described as the Lord of Silence. Sounds like the Lord I need to worship. Spaz boy here. The kings of Egypt were associated with Osirus in death, as Osirus rose from the dead, so they would be in union with him and inherit eternal life through a process of imitative magic. Through the hope of new life after death, Osirus began to be associated with the cycles observed in nature. Pretty interesting, huh? Yeah? No? I don't know. I think so. Osirus, the Egyptian lord of the underworld. You're listening to the Eartheart Radio Show. My name is Derek Moody, and I love ya, each and every one of ya. I want to send a song out that's a demo for the fans that was made around 10 years ago. I found this on SoundCloud. A buddy of mine that lives over in Edinburgh, Scotland. You might know him just a little bit. I'm fond of playing his music here because why? It's beautiful, that's why. And I'm not sure if this features his lovely wife, Janine Andrews, or not, but if so, hey, at least I'm giving her the credit. But here we go, my friends. It's music for your ears. Relax and listen to some Pat McGlynn. It's called Heart to Me, right here at the Eartheart Radio Show and KSKQ.
to me. Give your heart to me, baby. Give your heart to me. Give your heart to me, baby. Give your heart to me. Give your heart to me, baby. Your heart to me.
The great Pat McGlynn with Heart to Me at the Eartheart radio show. You know, Sister Tracy and I are finishing up a song that Pat McGlynn and Janine Andrews wrote. The song is called Tonight I Pray, and we are 75% finished with recording that song. We will be in the studio on January 23rd doing vocals, laying down additional guitar and piano. And then, of course, it will be turned into a music video, which will come out the first day of spring. And, of course, we'll be asking folks to donate to the Seva Foundation once that video is out. And that's a very, very fine foundation that has given restored eyesight to over 40 million people since its inception in 1969. So thank God for Pat McGlynn and Janine Andrews for making music that's going to generate income for a very, very loving charity.
Please let go of your fear. Positive news is here. Things aren't as bad as it seems, no matter what they say. News with an agenda is meant to instill fear. True news can instill hope.
Time for some happy news. That's right. Thank you all for being here. Let's see, what time do I have? It is 2:47 p.m. Pacific time, which gives me, about 11 or 12 minutes. I'm going to have to make sure I have time to finish out with a great song by the wonderful Nobby Clark, with a song from his album entitled If Only, and I'm looking forward to playing this. But I will say I've got a song by Nobby in my head called In Too Deep. Now, I heard that song a couple of times, and it's been a while, but on the way here today, it popped in my head, and I think that song could be a single. So I got on YouTube and listened to Nobby Clark In Too Deep, and man, it is really a catchy number. I believe David Payton might have produced it, so shout out to Nobby if you are tuned in. Hey, positive news number one, the last known Swinhoe's turtle on Earth was alone. Okay, the last Swinhoe turtle was alone until this female was found, and the researchers hope for babies. Yep. After a female Swinhoe soft-shelled turtle was discovered in a lake in Vietnam, a hope that the world's most endangered turtle species may recover was set alight among conservationists in Asia. Giving a whole new meaning to the words, on the brink of extinction, there was one such turtle alive in captivity. He was thought to be the only one on Earth, and with the discovery of a healthy adult female, a chance for a reptile version of Adam and Eve can commence. The female weighed 189 pounds. A tracking device was fixed to her, and then she was returned to the lake in Vietnam. The last remaining male is residing in a zoo in China. And I'll keep my opinions about zoos to myself. Scientists assured reporters that animals would be given a chance to breed. That's good. Also known as the Yangtze giant softshell, it was driven literally to the point of brinks of overhunting for its meat and eggs. Shame on you people for doing that, trying to kill those turtles. In a year full of bad news and sadness across the globe, the discovery of this female can offer a hope that this special species will be given another chance to survive. Andrew Wald, Chief Operating Officer of the Turtle Survival Alliance, a technical advisor on this project, said, "This is the best news of the year and quite possibly the last decade for global turtle conservation. As the most endangered turtle on Earth, a tremendous amount of energy and resources have been discovered to the preservation of the Swinhoe softshell turtle." Let's see. How about another one, eh? Back in 2019, I shared word of an exciting new trail designed to allow cyclists and hikers to travel 3,700 miles across America from coast to coast. Well, the Great American Rail Trail will eventually run from Washington, D.C. to Washington State, which is right above me, coast, and it will connect more than 145 existing hiking paths. That's awesome. More than 1,988 miles have already been completed, and once the trail is completed, it'll serve a huge number of Americans, as 50 million live within 80 kilometers of the trail. Rail trails, paths that were built on disused railway tracks and other recreational routes, have proved invaluable activities for many during the COVID-19 pandemic, providing an alternative commuting routes and space for people to exercise often near built-up urban areas. Millions of people have found their way outside on trails as a way to cope with the pandemic. I know I'm outside every day in the woods. Cycling has become popular during lockdown, both as a form of exercise and a method of transport. Bike sales have soared across the world as people are seeking to avoid public transportation. It's true. I bought a new bike recently. Not a new one, a new used bike. I do have one more news story. This is involving some good stuff as well, but I want to make sure to honor the music I want to play. So let's get that in first, because if that didn't play, it would break my heart today. This is a tune called To Die For. It is from Narby Clark. Of course, Nobby was the original singer for the Bay City Rollers Band, starting in the 60s up until the very early 70s. But I just want you to know he's moved on from that, and he does solo music, and he has lots of albums out. And it's not the same type of music. It's actually a little different. It's Nobby's own awesome music, and this is called To Die For, from the album called If Only, right here at the Eartheart Radio Show and KSKQ. Thanks for listening.
Slipping away, communicational blackout day. We crossed emotional motorways. What do we live for? Who would we die for? What do we live? Someone to cry for. No, we'll never change the world. Pray silence for the good night girl. Before it can be, all for the glory of you and me. Tell all your secrets since Judgment Day. What do we live for? Who would we die for? What do we live for? I don't know. Who would we die for? Who would we cry for? Oh no, we'll never change the world. Pray silence for the good night girl. I could. And if I wanted, I could change the world. If I wanted, I could. And if I wanted, I could change the world. If I wanted, I could. And if I wanted, I could change the world. If I wanted, I could. And if I wanted, I could change the world. If I wanted, I could. And if I wanted, I could change the world. If I wanted, I could. And if I wanted, I could change the world. If I wanted, I could.
Yes, indeed. It's Nobby Clark from the Eartheart Radio Show and KSKQ. And yes, I do believe, Nobby, you could change the world if you tried, and please do. It could use some improving, brother. But yeah, I look forward to seeing Nobby when I hit Edinburgh at some point in time. And when I go to record my album with brother Pat McGlynn, I'm so excited about that, man. More news on that later. Thank you all for tuning in. I will say next week on the Eartheart Radio Show, Ariana Saringer will be my guest. I'm so excited. She's a very talented girl that plays piano, keyboards, vocals, a writer. She made it to round 3 on the American television show The Voice recently, and proud to say she's the keyboard player in my band, Divine Dirt. And she's the keyboard and piano player for the upcoming Tonight I Pray song, written by Pat McGlynn and Janine Andrews. So next week we will speak with Ariana Saringer, my friend. I look up to her deeply, and she's a beautiful woman and a really talented person. So next week we'll chat with her. We'll hear some of her music, and we'll talk about the Tonight I Pray sessions as well. I don't believe I have time for my third positive news story. That's not good, but instead I will read something from the Bhagavad Gita, my friends. The Bhagavad Gita, I was going to read more, but it's a book that was, it's meant to liberate one from the bodily concepts of life by explaining the science of the soul and its relation to the supreme spirit and matter. That's what I'll say. I will say this, heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities by which God works. I know all beings in the creation as they were in the past, as they are now, and as they shall one day come to be, yet not one of them knows me in full. O Arjuna, all living entities are born into illusion, overcome by the duality of desire and hate. From the highest sphere in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery where birth and death take place. But whoever joins me in my abode is never born again, O son of Kunti. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. I am the source of all spiritual and material universes, for everything emanates from me. Knowing this, the wise engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. And that is the words of Sri Bhagavan Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita. My friends, I send all the love in the world to each and every one of your hearts. Thank you for being here. You're listening to KSKQ 89.5 FM, Ashland, Oregon, and 94.1 FM, Medford, Oregon. Philosophy Talk is next, and I'll be back at 6 with Sister Tracy for the Almighty Church of Rock radio show.
You've been listening to Eartheart Radio with your host, Derek Moody. Eartheart Radio is produced by Derek Moody in association with Sister Tracy and Krishna Consciousness. Please tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time for more Eartheart Radio.